Welcome to SciTech Culture with Steve Kern and Ben Warner, where we examine science, technology, and culture in the 21st century. Visit our website at scitechculture.com. Well, we're going to be continuing to roll along with our themes for 2025. We're going to be talking about social media a lot, I have a feeling, Steve, in this year, especially with how potentially it might be used around the world. I'm not going to single out America as well, because that could be an interesting use case. But all of what we're going to talk about today is related to it, but I just wanted to obviously start with the TikTok ban in the US, which has caused a whole bunch of users over there no end of anxiety because of the fact, well, anxiety or anger, frustration, rage, or whatever you want to call it. That post from Reddit that I sent you through about people defecting to Red Note, which is another Chinese social media app. Apparently that's even worse than TikTok for collating data, and they're actually like wearing it as a badge of honor, like an FU kind of thing, just to make the point. Having said that, we're recording this on Saturday, and I was just reading a little bit about this, that the Supreme Court did uphold the ban. But Trump being Trump, he's coming in on Monday, and he might just decide to overturn the whole thing anyway, even though he's made comments in the past that he wants it banned. But, you know, given he's got the whole tech bro community behind him now, and, I could see it going one of two ways. One is that he doesn't want to upset the 170 million TikTok users in America, or he might cave into what the tech bros want, which is to run it out of town so they've got more turf to cover and subsume all of TikTok's real estate in that respect. There's a lot of interesting ways that this could go.
Yeah, there is. And I think we're going to talk about these things generally today. It's interesting. It's geopolitics affecting an online sort of non-tangible environment where people communicate. Now, is this just market forces that's, transferring these peoples? Are they political forces? And where are the interests in this? So it is very interesting. Everyone at any time, as far as I've always understood, is free to go to whatever platform they want. To me, I guess that's free speech. What you say on there might be different, but, and it's interesting to finally see that, yes, okay, so a government can actually ban a social media platform. Now, forgetting the reasons for banning TikTok, that's a very interesting one. If they can ban one, my question would be, why don't they ban them all?
Oh, I'd be certainly up for that at this point, but I'm just one voice in this choir of whatever it is that's reacting. I just wanted to pick up something you mentioned there, that the politics going into these platforms, like it's all being communicated through there, etc. And it's just bizarre, really, because I'd argue that whether it's popular to say or not, I'd say social media is essentially leading people down a path of insanity, but just through the way people engage with it. And it just makes me wonder about whether we'd just be better off someone just pulls the plug on all of it. And now I know that we'll get to the whole private corporation owning the platform stuff later with Lemmy, but it just makes me laugh that so many people feel like it's such a necessary thing to have. Like, how did we, exist prior to social media? I'm sure we got by okay before.
We certainly seem to, and as a society, we were a lot less polarized. I don't know that it's hugely different, but I think social media puts a lot of these political topics at top of mind and keeps them there, because the things that you engage with, the things that give you anxiety or the things you don't like, we know are the top ways to engage you in a platform, is to get that negative response out of you and keep you right on edge about it. So threatening to ban a platform because it's good or bad, or it belongs to one side or the other, is the perfect way to polarize, generate anxiety, and keep people engaged. So at the end of the day, really, not only is it a political channel, but it is also an engagement and I guess, to that end, in a weird kind of way, it's becoming what entertainment is.
Absolutely. Well, I guess we'll keep an eye out and we'll see if Trump actually upholds the ban when he comes in on Monday. It'll be interesting to see. All right, and just sticking in that vein of social media, obviously we've spoken quickly about Blue Sky before. We haven't migrated over there ourselves just yet because I'm still in an existential crisis about our social media interactions for reasons that we've already discussed already. Mainly it just makes my head hurt. But I had to laugh, the whole thing, we talked about Zuckerberg last week, but then there's this, he had Threads and he kind of, which was kind of like a Twitter ripoff, really. And that was around the time that Elon took over. And I think he saw an opportunity to, scoop up, disgruntled, ex-Twitter users because of what Elon was doing. And I think that started well in the beginning, but then I think you mentioned before we got on, I can't even remember Threads was a thing, now so much time later. But Blue Sky's getting all of this publicity that their user base is growing. Now, it's not in the same numbers as what Threads is, but one could argue that the Threads number might be artificially inflated due to probably all the spamming that you're getting from your defunct Facebook account to join the Threads community, so to speak. But it's just interesting that maybe it's Blue Sky came in, I guess, as a new entity that was separate to all these other companies, and that might have given it a bit more cachet with the regular Joe in terms of, trying to get interested in joining a social media platform.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we know is that none of the social media platforms have ever been honest with their numbers. 278,000 or million users a month means nothing, especially when 80% of them are ad bots interacting with each other. But, no one wants you to know that. No one wants you to know what these numbers are really in reality, because if they do, then the whole business model falls apart. For all we know, Blue Sky is actually being honest about the number of real users that it has that have daily interactions. And, once again, we spoke about it before with RedNote. People migrate to platforms. I think, now Facebook's pretty long in the tooth. And even if you're on Facebook and using Facebook, why would you use Threads? Maybe back in the early days, people had a Facebook account, they had a Twitter account, and, that's what you did. But now I think people just use one channel. They find that channel, and that channel trains them to stay with that channel. So even if you have a number of platforms owned by a single entity like Meta, I think those platforms train you to develop a preference and stick with one of those platforms. So effectively they compete internally and you go with the format that suits you best.
Absolutely. One thing I will say is that people seem enthusiastic when they say I'm now on Blue Sky, but that might be another thing that they're signaling there as well.
Well, Blue Sky will only be as good as the people you connect with. So if you were one of the Twitter users that have left because you don't like what Twitter's become as X, then Blue Sky probably provides you a place to go. And then if that would lead to the discourse that you used to like on Twitter, then that's probably your driver to go there.
Absolutely. And I guess I just wanted to finish up with Lemmy, which is something a friend of mine sent just to check out. And if for those that don't already know, I've only been reading a little bit about it, but it sounded like I just thought it was interesting to highlight in this discussion of ours, because all these social media platforms have a private ownership component, i.e. someone owns it, so you have to live with the rules that corporation or entity is imposing on that platform. And Reddit's not being any different, because there's a lot of Reddit users now that are complaining that it just isn't what it used to be, which doesn't surprise me. But Lemmy seems to be an attempt to try and effectively democratize this type of engagement on the internet, the idea of it's still like threads and posts, and you can, you know, upvote it, downvote it, however you want to do it. And I won't go into the technical detail of it, because a little bit of it it takes a while to digest, let's put it that way. But the simplest way to describe it, as far as I can understand, is that it's a little bit like email, in that nobody owns email, everyone can email, and it's like a truly democratized function, for lack of a better term. And I think with Lemmy there's an attempt to do something similar there. And it makes me wonder, you know, like, would it have been if social media had been a thing when the internet was invented along with email, and social media was done at the same time, that, maybe we could have been living in a world that was truly democratized in this way, where, the platforms weren't owned by anyone and driven by a certain agenda or bias with the algorithms that they employ.
That's a really interesting concept you finish on there, Ben, because, Lemmy is like the early internet. It's decentralized. So it's kind of a cross between blockchain and early internet, where it's all peer-to-peer and you choose your interactions effectively, whereas now we have a centralized AI brain, or 5 of them, depending on the platform or whichever FANG you're with or whatever it is, and they're telling you what to think, where to go, and they actually control all your movement on the internet. But getting back to what you said, I mean, just imagine if Facebook or Meta or Zuck, whoever it would have been, had made Facebook open source. And yet he controlled the Facebook component of Facebook, but then I can guarantee you everyone else would be using a Facebook-based, domain, which is a bit like Lemmy. The interesting thing is now, 15 years ago, maybe that wouldn't have worked, but now it actually would, because he controlled the whole internet, and he would have achieved what MSN tried to achieve. So it's a very interesting concept, but Lemmy, I think, really lends itself to the democratization of the internet. I don't know how long it'll manage to stay free and unique and decentralized within its decentralized structure, but it's nice to see something different.
Well, I mean, I don't know, maybe it makes me think that, there could be a potential scenario where, there's a feeling enough is enough with the impact of what social media is doing on society in terms of how people are engaging, raging, to ever nth degrees of anger and polarization, that maybe at some point it just, I think we've talked about the fever breaking, and this is another example of a fever breaking. You keep hoping for it to happen. It doesn't seem to be happening at any time soon from the look of it, but one can only hope. And I saw something like this, and that was kind of like, maybe this might be something, or the idea of it anyway.
Well, yeah, it'd be very interesting to see what happens with Lemmy, because it's certainly not in the interests of the status quo. So I think they would certainly feel a need to respond, either by setting up a lot of Lemmy platforms within Lemmy and just dominating it that way, or maybe they've got another way.
Yeah, they can put threads on Lemmy and then they can feel better about themselves.
So, all with links back to their sites.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Steve, we might wrap it up there. Interesting times. The social media conundrum for me, to be honest, I feel it's a shame, because I remember when, around the time we were podcasting or started podcasting, I think it was still in a stage that it was, exciting and fresh and, contributing in a way. And it was fun to be a part of this stuff, and to see it slide into where it's gone, it's just, it's disappointing and it's a shame. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be changing anytime soon.
Completely agree. I still remember 2014 at peak Facebook, just the general euphoria of everyone being on Facebook. And it was a problem if you weren't on Facebook, because everyone else was. And now social media is just a morass.
Absolutely. All right, so that's it for this week's episode. We'll catch you next time.